Graham Whitford had spent 10 years believing his son was dead. 10 years trapped in a silence so heavy, it felt like grief was choking him from the inside out. But everything changed the moment a terrified black girl stepped into his forbidden East Wing and whispered a sentence that shattered his world. "Sir, this boy lived with me." In that instant, the billionaire who'd given up on hope felt something crack open. Fear, rage, and a wild spark of possibility he hadn't allowed himself to feel since the day his child disappeared. And when the girl revealed details no stranger could ever know, Graham realized the truth he had buried wasn't dead. It had been stolen from him. What happened next would drag him into a hidden conspiracy, force him to confront his own blind spots about race and power, and ignite a hunt that would shake his entire empire. Stay, because the next thing he discovers will leave you breathless. For 10 long years, Graham Whitford had lived inside a silence so thick it felt like a second skin, cold, heavy, and impossible to peel off. His billion-dollar empire stretched across skylines. His name was printed on towers and hospitals, yet none of it meant anything. Not since the day his 4-year-old son, Caleb, vanished without a trace. His wife, Eleanor, had drowned in grief. And Graham? He simply stopped being a man and became a shadow. Whitford Ridge Estate was quiet that morning, the kind of quiet that made even the air hold its breath. The anniversary always did that. 10 years today. 10 years since laughter disappeared from these halls. Graham stood in front of the massive portrait above the limestone fireplace, a painting of bright-eyed, curious little Caleb holding a wooden sailboat. Every stroke of color stabbed him. The painter had captured his son's light so perfectly it felt cruel. He had given us strict orders. No one was to enter the East Wing today. No one. Which is why the soft sound behind him hit like a blade. A shuffle, nervous breathing. He turned sharply. Standing in the doorway was Marissa Bennett, the new housekeeper, a black woman in her mid-30s with tired eyes that had seen too much struggle for someone her age. Next to her, half hidden but unmistakably frightened, was her daughter, Tiana, 12 years old, small for her age, curly hair tied in a ponytail, dark skin glowing under the morning light. They did not belong here. Not in this wing. Not on this day. Graham's voice cut through the air, cold and clipped. "You weren't given access to this floor." Marissa instantly lowered her gaze. "Mr. Whitford, sir, I'm so sorry. My car broke down this morning, and I had no one to leave her with. I told her to stay in the kitchen. I swear she wasn't supposed to." "Tiana," she hissed under her breath. "Baby, come on. We need to go." But the girl wasn't moving. She wasn't even breathing. Her eyes, big, expressive, innocent, were locked on the portrait above Graham's fireplace. And then her face changed. Confusion, recognition, fear, as if she was staring at a ghost she had once known. "Don't!" Graham snapped, stepping forward. "This room is private. You both need to leave." But Tiana didn't step back. Instead, she walked right past him until she stood directly under the portrait. Silence. Then in a shaky whisper, "This boy, he lived with me at Harborview Children's Home." The world didn't move. Marissa gasped like someone had struck her. "Baby, no, please, don't say things like that." But Graham felt the floor tilt beneath him. He couldn't even swallow. "What did you just say?" His voice wasn't angry anymore. It was something far more dangerous, hope covered in razor blades. Tiana's small chest rose and fell rapidly. "I knew him. He wasn't called Caleb there. They called him Mason, but..." She pointed at the portrait. "That's him, I swear, sir." Graham's heartbeat rang in his ears. His palms went cold. Caleb, his boy, gone 10 years. Dead, everyone said. Even his wife had begged him to let go before she died. Yet here was a little black girl in his house, someone the world rarely listened to, saying the impossible like it was truth. "You're mistaken," he whispered. "My son is gone." "No, sir." Tiana shook her head fiercely. "He used to draw pictures all the time, of the ocean, and a big brown dog." Graham staggered. Buddy, Caleb's chocolate Labrador, a detail no outsider ever knew. It wasn't in police records, not in the news. No one but family had known that dog existed. "How do you know that?" he demanded, voice cracking. "Because he told me. Tiana said softly. He talked to me when he wouldn't talk to anyone else. He said his real name started with a C. He said his daddy was rich and would come for him one day. Marissa grabbed her daughter, horrified. Mr. Whitford, please. She's just a child. People at the orphanage sometimes mix things up. But Tiana slipped from her mother's grasp and pulled a small folded paper from her pocket. She held it out with trembling fingers. Graham hesitated, then opened it. A child's crayon drawing, a small black girl with curly hair holding hands with a taller boy, and beside them a large brown dog. I kept it, Tiana whispered. He gave it to me when one of the older boys tried to take my necklace. Mason, Caleb, protected me. He said I wasn't alone anymore. He said we both had someone out there who cared about us. Something broke inside Graham, not in a painful way, but like ice cracking in the first warmth of spring. For years he had refused to hope. Hope had killed his wife. Hope had almost killed him. But this wasn't hope. This was evidence. His son had lived, and this little girl, this brave black girl the world probably overlooked, had been the only one who believed him. Graham inhaled shakily. Marissa, take your daughter to my study. Marissa froze. Sir? You're moving out of the staff wing. As of now, you are under my personal protection. Marissa's lips parted. Under? What are you saying? He looked at Tiana, who clutched her drawing like it was armor. I don't know who took my son, Graham said quietly, but if your daughter is telling the truth, she is the only person alive who can identify him. He looked at them both with raw, unfiltered truth. And that means someone may come looking for her. Marissa turned pale. Tiana stepped closer, voice barely a breath. Sir, will you find him? Graham knelt, something he hadn't done in a decade, and looked her in the eyes. If Caleb is alive, he said, I will tear down the world until I bring him home. For the first time in 10 years, the house did not feel dead. It felt like the beginning of a storm. Now, before we continue the story, I want to know what you think. Do you believe Tiana is telling the truth? Yes or no? Tell me your answers. Your voice matters in this story. The moment Marissa and Tiana stepped into the East guest wing, Graham felt the weight of the past 10 years shifting, dangerously, violently, like the ground beneath his estate was tilting. He didn't know exactly who the enemy was yet, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty. Whoever stole Caleb would not hesitate to silence a black child who remembered too much. And the world had shown him more than once that black children rarely got the protection they deserved. Graham moved quickly, almost frantically, down the polished hallway toward his private office. His head of security, Colton Reyes, arrived before he even made the call. You look like you've seen a ghost, Colton said, stepping inside. I have, Graham answered, and I need answers. Today. Colton nodded once. He never wasted words. Tell me everything. As Graham spoke about the drawing, about Tiana's memories, about Buddy the dog and the ocean, Colton's expression sharpened from curiosity to concern to full-blown alarm. There's more, Graham said. The orphanage burned down 3 years ago. A faulty wiring accident. He spat the words like poison. The entire record system destroyed, except the dorms. Only the admin building burned. Colton didn't even blink. That's not a fire. That's a cleanup. And whoever did it, Graham said, voice shaking with rage, did it using funds from one of my own charitable foundations. Colton stiffened. Your foundation? No, Graham whispered. Someone inside my company created a shell foundation. They routed the money through my accounts. And that fake foundation funded the orphanage where my son was hidden. Colton exhaled slowly. That means your kidnapper wasn't a stranger. It was someone close to me, Graham said darkly. Someone who stood beside me at my wife's funeral. It was the kind of betrayal that stripped a man of breath. And then, like fate was listening, the private desk phone lit up with an incoming call. Leonard Hale, his brother-in-law, the man who always insisted on attending Caleb's memorial services, even when Graham begged to grieve alone. Colton stared at the name on the caller ID. You gonna answer? Graham's jaw clenched. I'm going to pretend nothing's wrong. He picked up. Graham! Leonard's voice oozed through the speaker. Too smooth, too polished. Tough day, huh? I just wanted to check on you. You canceled your Tokyo trip, I heard. Everything all right?" There was something beneath the concern. An itch, a probe, a hunter sniffing for weakness. "Yes," Graham lied, soft and wary. "Just tired." "Tired?" Leonard repeated it like he didn't believe it. "I'm only 10 minutes away. Want me to come keep you company? We could toast to Eleanor and little Caleb." Graham nearly crushed the phone. "Don't take his bait. Not yet." "No," he whispered. "I'm heading to bed." A long pause. "Well," Leonard said slowly, "if you need anything, just call." When Graham hung up, his hands were trembling. Colton rubbed his chin. "He's testing you." "He knows something," Graham said, "or at least he suspects something changed today." "Yeah?" Colton asked. "And what changed today?" Graham swallowed. A 12-year-old black girl remembered the truth. A truth powerful enough to shake a billionaire's world apart. Colton straightened. "Then we protect her with everything we've got." In the East Wing, Tiana sat curled on a sofa, still gripping the folded crayon drawing. The room was bigger than her entire apartment. She wasn't used to this kind of space, or this kind of fear. Her mother paced the room, whispering frantic prayers under her breath. "Baby, what were you thinking, speaking up like that?" she said. "Rich folks don't play about their pain. They sure don't listen to little black girls they don't even know." Tiana looked up, hurt flickering in her eyes. "But I told the truth." Marissa froze. That simple sentence carried the weight of history, centuries of black voices dismissed, doubted, punished for daring to say what was real. "Oh, honey," Marissa whispered, pulling her daughter into her arms. "I know you did. I just don't want you to get hurt for it." A soft knock interrupted them. When the door opened, Walter Bennett Sr. stepped in. His presence filled the room. Tall, lean, black veteran with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Grandpa!" Tiana rushed to him. Walter hugged her tight. "You okay, soldier?" She nodded, though her trembling fingers said otherwise. Walter looked at Marissa next. "You all right?" "No," she said honestly, "but we're safe. For now." Walter turned to Colton's security agents. "What happens next?" "We ask her more questions," Colton said gently. "Your granddaughter might hold the only surviving memories that point to where Caleb went and who took him." Walter placed a protective arm around Tiana. "You hear that? You're important, baby. That's why this is scary. But you're not alone." Tiana took a shaky breath. Colton sat in front of her. "Did you ever see anyone strange at the orphanage? Visitors?" Tiana's eyes unfocused, lost in memory. "There was a man," she whispered. "Tall, wore a hat. He came at night. Sister Margaret always met him outside. She looked scared, like real scared." "What did he look like?" Colton asked. Tiana frowned hard. "I never saw his face, but he had a ring." "A ring? A big gold one, with a dark green stone in the middle." Walter stiffened. Marissa's eyes widened. Colton slowly turned toward Graham. "You know anyone who wears a ring like that?" Graham's blood went cold. Leonard Hale wore that ring to every family function. Eleanor once joked it was glued to his hand. And then Tiana spoke the words that shattered the last illusion. "Mason, Caleb, told me once he heard the man yelling at Sister Margaret. He said, 'You will call him Mason. Ethan Whitford is dead. Do you understand?'" Every breath in the room stopped. Walter whispered, "Lord have mercy." It wasn't just kidnapping. It wasn't just hiding. It was a full erasure, a forced burial of a living child's identity. Graham felt the ground beneath his feet tilt again, but now it tipped toward fury. "Colton," he said in a low voice, "find Sister Margaret, tonight, before he does." "He?" Walter asked. "Leonard Hale," Graham answered. "My brother-in-law, the man who pretended to mourn with me for 10 damn years." Walter exhaled sharply. "So that's the snake we're dealing with." Graham's eyes darkened. "He fundraised for my son's memorial while paying to keep him hidden." Walter stepped forward, voice steady and fierce. "Then this house isn't grieving anymore, Mr. Whitford. It's preparing for war." Night had already swallowed the coastline by the time Graham Whitford reached Seabird Haven Cottage. The headlights of his SUV swept across old cedar siding, cracked windows, and a porch that looked like it hadn't felt human footsteps in years. But something was alive here. Something real. The wind turned the small white wooden seabird on the roof, making it creak back and forth, exactly as Tiana had described. He said he could see it spinning from his bedroom window. For 10 years, Graham had lived with a dead heart, but right now, his pulse hammered like it was clawing its way back to life. He pushed the door open. The house smelled of dust, seawater, and loneliness. Furniture sat beneath white sheets like ghosts frozen in place. Graham's footsteps echoed through the hallway, slow, hesitant, terrified of disappointment. Caleb, the name cracked in his throat. He walked up the staircase he hadn't touched since his son was little. His hand brushed the railing where tiny fingernails once tapped along the wood. His legs trembled as he reached the second floor. Down the hall, a door stood slightly ajar. His son's room. He pushed it open and froze. A boy sat on the edge of the bed, staring out the window toward the spinning bird. He was thin, too thin, clothes worn, hair messy, shoulders tense. A child who'd had to become his own protector. When the door creaked, the boy jumped to his feet, grabbing a broken piece of driftwood like a weapon. "Get out!" he shouted. "This place is mine! Go away!" Graham felt his breath leave him. The eyes, those bright, curious eyes from the portrait, were staring right at him. Older now, haunted, but still his son's eyes. "I'm not here to hurt you," Graham whispered, raising his hand slowly. "That's what people always say," the boy yelled, voice cracking with fear. "Why are you here?" Graham swallowed hard. "Because this was my son's room." The boy didn't lower the driftwood, but his expression flickered. "Your son?" "His name was Caleb Whitford," Graham said softly. "He loved the ocean, he laughed too loud, and he had a big brown dog named Buddy." The driftwood slipped a little in the boy's grip. "How?" The boy's voice faltered. "How do you know Buddy?" "Because I was there," Graham said. His voice broke. He didn't care. "I watched him chase seagulls at this beach. I stood right here in this doorway and told him to put his shoes on before running outside. He choked on tears. "I'm his father." Silence filled the room. The boy's face crumpled, disbelief fighting desperately with a memory he had buried to survive. "Dad?" the boy whispered, a sound so soft it cracked the entire world open. Graham stepped forward once, then stopped, afraid to scare him, but the boy didn't wait. He dropped the driftwood and lunged. In an instant, 10 years of grief, guilt, longing, and brokenness collided as the child slammed into his father's arms. Graham held him tight, tighter than he'd ever held anything, crying into his hair like he was begging for forgiveness with every breath. "I found you," Graham cried. "My boy, I found you." The boy sobbed into his chest. I remembered this place. I didn't know how to find you. I thought no one was looking." Graham cupped the boy's face. "I never stopped loving you. Never." And for the first time in 10 years, the world felt whole again. Back at Whitford Ridge Estate, the sun was rising, pink, gold, and full of promise, when Graham led Caleb inside. Marissa, Tiana, and Walter were waiting at the entrance under the watchful eyes of the security team. Tiana gasped when she saw him. "That's him," she whispered. "Mason. Caleb, I knew it." Caleb stepped forward shyly. "Tiana?" She smiled and lifted her frayed necklace. The one he'd once protected for her. "You remembered." Caleb didn't speak, but his eyes said everything. Walter placed a gentle hand on Caleb's shoulder. "Welcome home, son. Been a long road, hasn't it?" Caleb nodded, unable to find words. Graham looked at the Bennett family, this black family who had risked everything to speak the truth in a world that often silences people who look like them. "You saved my son," Graham said, "and you saved me." Marissa shook her head. "Sir, we just—" "No," he interrupted. "You did what no one else could. You spoke up. You believed a child when the world would have ignored her. You gave my son a chance to be found." Tiana blushed, nervously twisting her necklace. Graham turned to her. "Tiana, I owe you more than I could ever repay, but I'll try, starting now." He handed Marissa a thick envelope containing a new job contract, estate manager, not housekeeper, a salary 10 times her old one. A 5-bedroom house on the property, full benefits. Marissa covered her mouth, stunned. Walter nodded proudly. See? Truth ain't just a shield. Sometimes it's a door, opening to something better. And then Graham knelt again, this time in front of Tiana. What do you want to be when you grow up? He asked. She thought for a moment. I want to find people, lost people, like Caleb. Graham smiled, eyes warm for the first time in a decade. Then I'll make sure you have everything you need to do that. School, training, whatever it takes. A small voice spoke beside him. Dad, can she stay here? Caleb asked, clutching Graham's sleeve. I feel safe with her. She was my friend when I had no one. Graham swallowed hard. She can stay as long as she wants. Tiana beamed. The house, once a tomb, now felt alive again, filled with voices, footsteps, and hope. Justice moved swiftly after that. Leonard Hale was arrested trying to reach Sister Margaret. Evidence piled up, financial records, false identities, payments. His confession sealed his fate, years in federal prison, but none of those victories compared to the one Graham already held in his arms. Caleb, alive, loved, home. As the morning sun filled the estate, Caleb stood beside his father, looking at the portrait that had once been a symbol of death. It looks like him, Caleb whispered. Like who I used to be. Graham wrapped an arm around him. That boy never died. He survived, and now you're here, and we're going to build something new. Marissa, Tiana, and Walter joined them, standing together like a family forged not by blood, but by truth, courage, and compassion. The house was no longer a grave, it was a beginning. A human, imperfect, beautiful beginning. Did this ending make you feel something? Hope, anger, relief? Yes or no? Do you believe Tiana is the true hero of the story? Yes or no? Should more stories highlight the courage of Black families who speak truth despite fear? Yes or no? If you enjoyed this story, comment 111 below. Tell me which country you're watching from, and don't forget to share this video so more people can experience this emotional journey.